Hello, anti-novelist friends and future Lilligans. Something cool is coming soon. But I wanted to jump in and answer the author James Wall's question from the comment section. He asked me if I had a way of capturing fleeting thoughts, ideas, bits of conversation, all of those little things that run through your mind as you're going throughout your day. The answer is yes, I do. I have a couple of methods. So the first one that my regular viewers might be familiar with is what I call the flash bunnies, which is based off of plot bunnies. You know, you're writing along and all of a sudden you get, ooh, this idea, and ooh, that idea, and then ooh, that idea. Those are plot bunnies. They multiply like crazy and they run all over your head when you're trying to write. Well, my flash bunnies are the same concept. They just are flashes of thoughts or ideas that I get. I could be sitting at a stoplight, I could be at the grocery store, what have you. So what I did was I took colored 3x5 cards, cut them in half, hole punch them, and put them on a little binder ring. This way I can take this little packet, it's color coded by character for my book. I can throw it in my bag, stick it in my pocket, whatever. It doesn't need to be plugged in. It needs no batteries. Works every time. So you'll notice I have a note here. It says, Oklahoma, scrub brush at the highway, taking some time off for bad behavior. Okay, so this is an idea that came to me as we were driving across Oklahoma, which some of you may know my main character, Marshall Branch, is from Guthrie, Oklahoma. So those were a couple of details just as we were driving that I thought, ooh, I want to remember that. So I just jotted them down on one of his blue cards. A second option for that same kind of thing is what I call scene cards. Again, they're 3x5 cards cut in half, but these are not hole punched. These are just little cards that live in a bulldog clip so that I always have them right at hand. Again, I can take that little thing, throw it in my bag, and I've got all the scene cards I need. So let's just see what the first one says. It says, Branch picks up her suitcase. She thinks he's going to carry it, and instead he hands it to her and passes by. Ha ha. What a gentleman. So that just gives you an idea of I had that thought, I had that idea of an interaction between two characters, and I just popped it on a scene card and threw that back in my bag. The final example that I'll show you that is a bound kit, these are 3x5 cards with Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, Act 4 through a book. And if I have an idea that I've fleshed out, like maybe for a character, a chapter, whatever, I'm going to write it on my card. And then I'm going to go to, let's say, I think that belongs maybe towards the end of Act 2. So I'm going to go to my tab 2. I'm going to open it up, and I'm just going to leave that card right in there. So it reminds me in those 4 acts of my novel, where do I think that idea might go? And then when I get home, I can process it, draft it, and actually turn it into a scene or a chapter. The final piece, which is to actually answer James's question directly, these are my 1110 cards. So over in my Zettelkasten, 1110 is the number that I've given to what I call idea captures. Okay, so when I talk about the Zettelkasten for fiction, this is specific to that system. So let's just look and see what I have. This first card is a header card, and it's just labeled plotting 1110.1. So behind here is where all of my plotting cards live. So I've got a card listing some plot types: mystery, romance, information, murder, heist, master apprentice, boy and his dragon, and underdog. So just some reminders of plot types. Then I've got notes on, this one is on information plotted. So it's 1110.1a. Then I've got a heist, 1110.1b. So that's how I slot in my plot ideas. Then I've got some notes on pantsing as opposed to plotting. So we talk about discovery writing. Okay, so I've got 1110.1/1. This tells me a little system that Mary Robinette shared with Brandon Sanderson that he shares in one of his BYU teaching videos. So then this is that actual exchange, and I've just printed the whole thing out that describes this kind of discovery writing, and I've just folded it around a card that lives at the /1a so that it knows where it needs to be filed. Then I've got 1110.2, character development in general. Now I have a whole section on character development over in the other videos, so I can link that below, but these are just some character development cards that came to me in an idea. This one says she looked like cash and caviar, and it's got a note that's a description of Villette. So that tells me what that note might belong to when I get ready to start writing. I'm thinking it's going to be a description for her, which it is. It's in the book already. Then I've got 1110.3 is for setting items. I've covered that one up. No spoilers. And then I've got 1110.4/1. Dialogue at question. This specifically addresses what James was asking me. So if I hear pieces of conversation or something that could be interesting dialogue just comes to me, I'm going to jot it down on this card in no particular order. So like these questions, some of the ones I've written are, you do know this is a trap, right? What if we've been wrong the whole time? Is there anything he doesn't know? And that's reference to Chad. Dun, dun, dun. So these are just questions that a character could ask another in the story. The /2 card is labeled dialogue at argument. One example is, how can you possibly have figured that all out in one day? That's something that Jet, the ranch hand, says to Branch, the main character. Another one is, don't give me that look. Okay? So just things that could be part of or could start an argument. Then I've got some blank ones. When I do these cards that I just carry around with me that I can just tuck ideas onto as I think of them, I've got a /3 and a /4 that are both blank. So if I'm going out on a trip, I'm going out in the world, I'm going to take those and maybe tuck them in my pocket and write those ideas directly on them. Or I'm going to use one of my other systems to collect those ideas and then record them on the cards when I get back. /9 is dialogue at random. This says, after all this back and forth, we don't need a fifth. Ha ha. Another one is, you've got a hitch in your get along, right? Definitely something a ranch hand would say. And then on the other /9, it's, she's got a bee in her bonnet. So those are just little colloquialisms or pieces of conversation that I've heard that I thought might make for interesting dialogue. So that is the answer for how I use satellite tools as well as my cards at home that live over in my Zettelkasten to collect thoughts, ideas, conversation, anything that I think might have relevance either to a character, to a setting, to plot, what have you. And then when I get back to my desk, those get written up on proper cards and installed in my Zettelkasten under the 1110 section. So I hope that was help you. Thank you, James, for the question. I'm also loving the book that you recommended. I'm almost through chapter 3. Absolutely adore it. If you want to know what that is, it's Robert Olin Butler's book, From Where You Dream. Thank you so much for that. I am absolutely loving reading it. So y'all take care. Get those pens on the paper because the words won't stay in your head forever. And I will see you in the next video.